All right, we are on to chapter 6 and love language number 3, receiving gifts. So this one's pretty straightforward. I think a lot of people understand the idea of giving gifts, but our purpose here today is to talk about some of the insights that Dr. Chapman shares here about the significance of gift giving, particularly for those whose primary love language is receiving gifts. So the point of the gift is that a gift is a tangible reminder of the love that you have for them. So that's the benefit of it is it's a gift that keeps on giving when you're not there. That it helps them remember that you love them. When they see the object, they remember you, they remember that you love them. By the same token, as they give gifts, when their primary love language is gifts, when they give gifts to you, that's the objective of the gift is to show that they thought of you, that they care about you, and that they love you. So, as far as understanding this love language, if your spouse's primary love language is gifts, and that's not something that is familiar to you, a lot of it comes down to listening. Think about the gifts that your spouse has been excited about over the years. Think about the gifts that have been kind of, oh, wow, this is really nice. And consider that those things are special to your spouse and that you can consider more things like that or consider why it was special. You know, was it practical? Was it useful? Was it special? Was it pretty? Consider those things that they've said when they've received gifts, and you'll see the idea of the sort of gifts that you can give that will be beneficial or important to them. He points out that if someone is critical of the gifts that they're receiving from you, most likely their primary love language is not gifts. And this has been something that I've noticed. I have in our family just one child that specifically her primary love language is gifts. And frankly, it's the thought that counts really for her. And so she's not really critical of gifts. She just loves gifts because that is a way that people show that they thought of her when they were away from her and that she's important and special to them. So again, if someone's primary love language is gifts, most likely they will be quite pleased and excited with the gifts that they get. The important thing again being that you demonstrated that you thought about them, that you're getting to know them, that what's important to them is important to you. And it's important also with this particular one, because I know for a lot of us, if we're struggling with money, if we're struggling with finances, to think, well, I mean, I'd like to get her a nice gift, but I really can't afford that right now. And it's not so much that the gifts need to be expensive, but the point is that the gifts need to be there, particularly if their primary love language is gifts, that you can consider money spent on gifts for someone whose primary love language is gifts to be an investment, that it's something significant and important to them, and it will fill up their love tank. And if their love tank is full, they'll be able to do more. There'll be more beneficial things for you and your family. So again, consider it an investment, the money that you put in when someone's primary love language is gifts. He also discusses in the chapter the importance of sometimes gifts take on a different nature. For instance, the gift of your presence, that you are choosing to be with them instead of somewhere else. And I recognize that this one can be a little bit sticky because a lot of times it feels like the time that they want your presence the most, maybe when you most want to go do something else. But you can consider that as a non-financial investment. You can consider giving of your time, specifically your physical presence, when you'd rather be doing something else as part of the cost of the gift that you're giving them and as part of that investment. I'm not recommending that you don't have control of your own time if you're married to someone whose primary love language is gifts. But the point is that sometimes just the gift of giving them of yourself, that you are there physically present with them, helping them, particularly if they're going through something rough, just being with them can be a gift in and of itself. He tells a story in the chapter about a man who gave his wife gifts before they were married, as they were dating, because it seemed like the natural thing to do. It seemed the things that he wanted to do. But then after they got married, he kind of took on that role of, hey, provider, I need to make sure the finances are okay. I need to make sure things are right. And so he took on more of a role similar to what he had seen his dad do and felt that he really couldn't afford to give gifts. And of course this was rough for her because her primary love language was gifts, And part of what had set him apart in the competition of the dating world was the fact that he gave her very nice gifts. And so that was something that he realized once he understood that her primary love language was gifts. Then he started giving her gifts, thinking about her, doing things that showed that he was willing to make that financial investment in her. And it turned everything around and made their marriage so much more beautiful and wonderful by him, again, intentionally doing the things that would fill up his wife's love tank. So, as far as a scriptural context of giving and receiving gifts, we can see that God gives gifts to his children. And these gifts that he gives us are different and unique, and they help us to feel like we have an identity. They help us feel like we're special, that God cares about us because of the specific gifts that he's given us. This is in the New Testament in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now, there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. But the manifestations of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit of God the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. And so God has given us unique gifts, unique talents, and these gifts help us feel a connection to him and help us feel like we are special and significant. And so in that same way, as we try to make wonderful marriage relationships, we see that the gifts that we can give are things that can help the person feel unique, special, and significant in our eyes. So that is the chapter on receiving gifts. And as always, the links to scriptures that I've shared are in the description.